Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Well, there's lots of running going on in Vancouver all the time, but specifically now the Vancouver Sun Run is coming up, the Vancouver Marathon is coming up, and it's so important to have the right footwear.
Is it ever? It can make the difference between not only being comfortable, but having a satisfying result as well. Ryne Malcher joining us from Kintec Footwear and Orthotics, and he also happens to be a 5-time member of the Canadian National 100K team.
How are you?
100K. what does that mean?
Make it sound crazy putting it that way.
That is crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. So does that mean you're running 100K and
Yep, just marathon, add 58 more K, and it's just an extension of that. So, away you go.
You make it sound so simple.
More than doubling a marathon.
So
and
your
away
footwear would be even more important with 100K, but for any runner, whether it's 5K, 1K, 10K, it doesn't matter. It's so important to have the right shoes. Let's start with the shoes you've brought over here today, and tell us about these and who they would work for.
What we look at is the cushioning and structure in the shoes. Like I said, whether it's beginner level or right up to the elite level, footwear is important. If your feet are hurting, whether you're just going to do the Sun Run or whether you're training to run at World 100K Championships, if your feet are hurting, you're not going to perform.
Right.
So.
And before you guys make shoe decisions or help people with their shoe decision, you do something called a gait analysis. And we have some video of this, but explain what a gait analysis is and what it can do for people.
So what we do is we look at your mechanics. So we take a video capture of you running or walking, whatever activity you're doing, and we can look at that. So once you're done, we can look at that clip and go through it frame by frame to see exactly what's happening where, because different shoes are going to line up with different people's foot mechanics. So we can pinpoint and isolate, as you see on the video there, what's happening where, what shoe is going to be more appropriate for you to line up.
And how often can your gait change? So how often should you get your analysis done?
Every time somebody comes in, we recommend, because it's not a long process to get done, do it every time you come in, because mechanics will change over the course of time, injury, pregnancy, things like that, different training regimens.
It's funny, I was telling you before that I was running on a shoe that I was buying based on a gait analysis I had when I was in my 30s, which was a couple of years ago minimum. But I didn't realize that your gait could change and would change as you go through your life, but it makes sense, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about the different shoes and what they do for different people. Let's start at the end, because you've laid these out in a reasonable order.
Somewhat logical order.
Yeah.
So somebody that doesn't have a lot of what's called overpronation, where that foot collapses down and into the medial side, they don't need a lot of structure to the shoe. So a shoe like this doesn't have any dual density structure support on the medial side, versus a shoe like this that has some structure.
For those who don't know, what does pronation
side
mean and overpronation? What is that?
It's basically, pronation is okay, that's the way the body absorbs shock. Overpronation is where that foot collapses down and in excessively.
So you're sort of going like that, right?
You're collapsing from foot's rolling down.
And that's what you can see when you do somebody's gait analysis.
Yeah, exactly. We can pinpoint how much, where in the gait cycle does that happen, where in a shoe do we need that support for that individual.
A lot of people think that shoe design is either just hype or a complete voodoo. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand
or aesthetics.
That they're really, I mean, there's hundreds of millions of dollars that these guys put into this to make sure that they're building a shoe for a specific runner.
Yeah, exactly. Each shoe company literally does put tens of millions of dollars into research and development on the shoes, neutral shoes, structure shoes for different types of mechanics.
Okay, that's a more neutral, that's a more control.
That's more stability.
This, I'm guessing, trail?
Trail, yep. So the same principles apply whether you're doing walking, whether you're doing running, whether you're doing trail. If you need that stability for overpronation, you get that in a trail shoe just like you would in a road shoe.
And this is nice and light, too. Trail shoes, I always think they're a little bit heavier, but this is a really light one.
They've evolved a lot in the last 5 years of finding ways to just cut out unnecessary weight to the shoe, so they're not a lot different from the road shoes. Now
there's a real movement towards free running or minimal shoes as well. This is a good example of it, but I want you to talk about the shoe and the warning that should go along with a shoe like this.
You can see how flexible it is.
So the book Born to Run made a lot of craze about the minimalist barefoot movement, and they can be a great tool to supplement your running program. You just need to make sure you don't go buy that shoe and never having run in it, take it out and start doing 30, 40, 50K a week in it. You got to train your body just like you did when you started running. You start slow and gradually work up.
But what's the benefit to the minimalist movement in running?
It helps create some strength and proprioception in the feet as well. So there's a lot of value to it. You just have to use it at the appropriate time and in moderation
and know what you're doing
as well. Know what you're doing as well.
Now these just look weird.
Yeah. Now we go from the minimal running to this, and you guys are exclusive. This is a European company. The first thing that we should talk about is these are amazingly light for what they look like.
So light.
But what are they?
No flexibility.
They're called the Hoka 1-1, and yeah, they look like a brick, but when you pick them up, the weight difference from anything on the table here isn't that much at all. It's the opposite of barefoot running. So it's loaded with cushioning, very wide base to it. The concept came out of Europe for trail runners just bombing down hills. more contact with the ground, more stability, less likely to roll.
So things like the knee knacker.
Exactly.
This might be a good shoe for people.
If you want
making things
proprioception, some people like feeling the ground. This shoe is not for
And
you.
it'll add a couple inches.
Well, I was going to say I could be, well, let's say 6 feet when I wear this. Let's just leave
Now,
it.
when I've done the mistake where you're going for a casual walk around the seawall, it turns out to be about 10K, and then your feet hurt like hell at the end.
Yeah.
But talk about flip-flops and why it's important to have ones that have a little bit of arch support in them.
Yep. So they mimic exactly what a shoe is going to do in terms of the support for you. So you go out for a long run, you get your shoes off. Instead of walking around barefoot when your feet are tired, get something that's going to support that arch, or like you said, just to go around the seawall. If you're wearing a flip-flop that doesn't have any support to it, you're going to feel your feet, and they're going to be a little bit sore at the end of that, more than you want them to be. So.
It can make a huge difference, can it, when you're training to give yourself that support when you're just walking around the house and stuff after you've been running as well.
After a long run, after a race, after a walk, long day at work, get your shoes off, get in a nice supported flip-flop.
Now, Mike likes to wear knee-high socks, usually black ones at the best of times.
No, well, I have
but
become...
the compression socks around here, everybody swears by them. What are they and what do they do?
Huge difference.
Huge comeback, not only just for work, I mean, help with circulation, fatigue, and things like that, but also for running as well. They're becoming wildly popular. You go to even your top-level marathoners in the world, Paula Radcliffe, for example.
But what do they do?
Yeah, what's the theory behind a compression sock?
Recovery, increased circulation, better flow, prevent calf cramping and things like that.
So are
for
they just
performance
tight?
during the race, graduated compression, so tighter down around the ankle, and then it graduates, releasing upwards, just to keep that blood flow going.
I have a couple friends that sometimes they wear them when they're running, but specifically they use them after they run as well. They
for
like to put them
recovery,
on and really find it beneficial for recovery after a big
Personally,
run.
I find more benefit after the run than I do during the run. They certainly have value during the run for me, but there's a lot of value to after a long day at work or a hard run to get
so
those
these can be
compression
good just
stockings
for
on.
anybody.
Yeah, you work at Costco, standing on your feet all day. There's a lot of value. To those for you,
Now,
so.
we're talking about shoes and everything, but the next link in the chain for most people is socks. And once again, people don't think it makes a big difference.
Huge.
And I'll tell you.
It makes a huge difference.
What should you look for in a sock?
Basically anything that's not cotton. Cotton, the moisture just sticks to it. That's that chafing, friction, irritation that's going to cause blisters, hot spots, rashes.
Yeah, you can get the special ones so you won't get blisters.
Yeah, so anything merino wool, polyester, something that's wicking the material, so as your foot sweats, which it's going to when you're running that distance, pull the moisture to the outer part of the sock, keep your foot dry.
Now, we don't have time
Don't
to
have
get
time
into
for
the
orthotics,
insoles, but there is something for everyone. If you want to participate in a Kintec running clinics, they start between March 14th and April 21st. They have 7 locations. If you want to check them out, you can get your gait analysis done, your feet checked, so you don't waste money on shoes you don't need or ones that are going to hurt your feet.
And of course, you can go to Kintec's website for more information and to go down there and check it out.
We're going to take a break, and
I
when we
feel like it should be at a
return,
rave.